Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Nicole and I am so happy you clicked on this video. So today's video, I am going to be, my hands are so finicky. In this video, I'm going to be explaining the difference between internal audit and external audit. Let's talk about the differences between internal audit and external audit from the perspective of moi, someone who has worked in internal and external. So starting off with, I guess, internal audit. So when you're doing internal audit, you are actually an employee of that company or organization, and you are looking basically at any issues. Your audits are focused more so on issues and ensuring that the company and the process owners are operating according to company standards. Okay, and depending on the industry that you're in, you might do a few extra things here or there. Like for me, I was an internal auditor for the entertainment industry. So besides auditing, like working with SOX audits and SOX controls, we also did venue audits, and we did venue audits and checked how the company as a whole was operating, how different areas of the company and different venues were operating, if they were following the company standards, guidelines, if like the managers, like the venue managers and venue personnel were following company guidelines when it came to cash handling, security, parking, and things of that nature that goes on with a show. Another thing with internal audit is that internal auditors do not necessarily have to be CPAs. Obviously, it is recommended that you be a CPA or at least a CIA or have a CFE. So CIA is certified internal auditor, and then your CFE is your certified fraud examiner, examination, something like that. So I know the company that I worked for, they highly encouraged, especially for promotion reasons, that you either get a CPA, a CIA, along with your CFE. So those are some of that's a difference between an internal auditor and an external auditor. And another thing is that an internal auditor, like internal audit or internal auditors, report to management. And another thing with internal audit is like internal auditors can also, to a certain extent, act as consultants. And how can I make this practical? So yeah, you can act like consultants and kind of provide guidance to your managers and process owners, like, hey, this is how, these are company standards and these are best practices and what you should do. Like, I know the company I just worked for, they had a lot of acquisitions, and a part of internal audit's role was to go to these different places and give them you had like the M&A team, like, so the merger and acquisition team, whose job was supposed to be like getting them familiar with how the company functions. And then we came in just to kind of not really hold their hand, but to help them. We audited controls and did some testing on their financial statements and different aspects just to see how they were doing. And then we gave them some guidance on how they should do certain things and follow to align with that company's standards. And if you guys haven't seen that, go check out my Argentina vlog. That was a trip that I got to go to for a new acquisition. So yeah. Those are the main differences between internal and external audit. And then internal audit, I know something that we did, we tested controls alongside with our external auditors. So the external auditors would do the sample selections they would select the samples and give the criteria of what they were looking for. And then us as internal audit, because we are employees of the company, we should know how company functions. We did the testing and some of the walkthroughs instead of in place of the external auditors. And in some of the walkthroughs, it was both external audit and internal audit sitting with the process owners to understand the process, but we, like internal audit for the most part, led the meetings, okay? So external auditors, when you're an external auditor for a company, like I think it's not you don't report to managers, like you report to the shareholders, and I think you report to like the shareholders and the audit committee and stuff like that. And an external auditor, you are not an employee of that company. You were hired by by the shareholders and investors of that company to audit their financial statements and to make sure that they are indeed within like reasonable practices and all that. I can find a definition for y'all. But yeah, external auditing, you're auditing more controls, you're auditing financial statements of the company, and overall, like making sure that there's that you have to have a conclusion that there's reasonable assurance that you're just giving, like you're giving an audit opinion on how you think that company is doing, if they're adhering to GAAP, to the GAAP or IFRS, and like meeting SOX standards, basically. External auditors are not supposed to be consultants. That's why you have a separate consulting practice, consulting advisory section within public accounting. So when you are an external auditor, you're not supposed to be giving any consulting advice or anything of that sort. You are strictly doing SOX testing, SOX controls, and testing financial statements. But then external auditing, you are also doing walkthroughs. Know that you're doing walkthroughs, you're meeting with your process owners, and depending on the level you are auditing or focusing on different control areas or different areas within the financial statements. Another thing with external audit is that external audit, depending on how big your firm is or how big or small your client is, you could be on a couple different engagements within the span of a year. So you could be on different engagements, and then during busy season, you are on a larger engagement, or depending on need, you might be on 2 busy season clients back to back. But with internal audit, obviously you work for the company, and when it is time for busy season, once your deadline hits, like if you are an accelerated filer, obviously you're going to be working close to the same hours as external auditors, not to that extent, of course, but you will. But once your deadline's done, you're done. So, but with external auditors, like let's say you have an accelerated filer that files in February, you'd be on that client, and then once that client's done, they could put you on a client that files in March or that files in April. So your busy season as an external auditor is January through April, while your busy season for internal audit could be just like January through February or January through March. Or February through March, depending on when you file. And if you guys are clients who file in April, then you guys are pretty chill, but just, it just depends. So yeah, overall, like my experience is I really enjoyed internal audit. I think I will go back to internal audit. If the opportunity presents itself one day, not anytime soon, though, but in the future, I probably will go back into internal audit if I don't go into advisory. It was fun, got to travel a lot, got to see different areas and aspects of the company that you wouldn't typically see if you were just doing external audit. I felt like, because the team was smaller, I felt more involved. I felt like my opinion mattered, and I didn't just feel like a staff. I felt valued. And I did like external audit. I did not like the hours, but overall, the firm that I worked with, and I think it was also the engagements that I was on, for the most part, it was good work morale. The teams were great. I had no problems working with anybody. For the most part, got our work done. And the learning experience was awesome. External audit, my experiences with external audit is how I learned how to do walkthroughs and talk to process owners and write process narratives and understand the overall process, how to audit the different areas, how to do just a lot of different things like auditing, like the documentation. Both within internal and external audit, it really helped me to better my documentation of my testing and what I was doing. Obviously, external audit, it was tighter deadlines. So deadlines were super tight. But that was good because it taught me discipline. So I knew, like, when I'd get to work, I'd be focused on my work, try to get there a little early. And then sometimes when I was in external, there would be some lunches that sometimes during lunch where I would just work through lunch. I would just eat at my desk, not because I was being antisocial, but just because I knew I had a deadline, and I wanted to have that hour of quiet to do my work. The dinners, paid for dinners, were great to a certain extent, but sometimes, like, I like cooking, so I missed getting to cook. The thing that I didn't like, obviously, were the hours, because I barely got to spend time with my husband and my friends, but that's only for a short period of time. For the most part, I enjoy both experiences. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I apologize if it was all over the place, and I will see you guys in my next one.